श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। भवति यदनुभावात् एडमूकोऽपि वाग्मी जडमतिरपि जन्तुः जायते प्राज्ञमौलिः। सकलवचनचेतो देवता भारती सा मम वचसि निदत्तां सन्निधिं मानसे च। देवं नारायणं नत्वा सर्वदोषविवर्जितं परिपूर्णं गुरुंश्चान् गीतार्थं वक्ष्यामि लेशतः। My salutations to the devotees of Lord Sri Krishna. Last session we had discussed about Sankhya Yoga. In that we had seen various aspects of Sankhya Yoga and the importance of second chapter of Sankhya Yoga, wherein we had seen that dejected Arjuna, who had said that he will not take on the warfare because they happen to be his kith and kin, and he sat exactly in the middle of the chariot and said to Lord Krishna that he will not take on the fight. And Lord Krishna was listening to the arguments that were put forth by Arjuna, and still he was continuing with his own arguments from chapter 1, that is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, to Sankhya Yoga also. So this chapter begins with the first quote of Sanjaya, who says, Tam tatha krupayavishtam ashupurna kulekshanam vishidantam vidam vakyam vacha madhusudana. Sanjaya says that Arjuna, who was drowned or he was deeply agonized, and he was telling to Lord Krishna, who is been addressed as Madhusudana, that he will not take on the fight. And Lord Sri Krishna said in response to Arjuna, Kutastva Kashmalavidam Vishame Samupastitam Anaryam Jushtam Asvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. He says, at this moment, at this uneven moment, at this odd moment of the warfare, oh Arjuna, from where did you get this thought which doesn't suit your stature or which doesn't suit a Kshatriya king? That was what has been put forth by Lord Sri Krishna. And incidentally, this is the first verse where Lord Krishna starts revealing the gospel of Bhagavad Gita. Today, it's a very auspicious day of Gita Jayanti, so we have an opportunity to discuss some aspect of Bhagavad Gita. And as we have seen, even a small verse or a half of a verse of Bhagavad Gita will lead to eternal peace. So with that context, today we are discussing some aspect with whatever little I know about this Bhagavad Gita, with the grace of my Guru, who has taught me this Bhagavad Gita. And Lord Sri Krishna continues to say that Klaibyam smaggamah partha naitatva yugapadyate Shudram Hrudaya Daurbalyam Tektotishta Parantapa. Lord Sri Krishna addresses Arjuna as Parantapa. Parantapa is a specific name or an adjective wherein it is meant to inspire Arjuna that you are the one who can shiver or bring in the shivers to the enemies. So because of that, oh Parantapa. Tapa means heat, that is the actual heat of what is actual war or a fierce battle which induces shivers in the hearts of the enemies. You are of that stature. So Parantapa, O Arjuna, he says, leave or shun this weakness and then you take on the war, and this is only a weakness of your heart which you are not supposed to show at this moment of time. Then further, Arjuna, still he is not convinced by the Lord's argument or Lord's advice or the grace of the Lord, and says or and continues. But Arjuna continues with his own argument. He says, Katham Bhishmamaham Sankhe Dronam cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsami Pujara Varisudana. He says, how can I shoot the arrows to the most revered Drona, the most revered Bhishma, who have been worshipped or who are worthy of the worship? So he says that I cannot take on this war and kill them. And incidentally, it is the same Arjuna who had taken on fierce battles and had defeated very many the valiant kings, the valiant, fearful kings, and has won and became victorious in many wars. So it is the same Arjuna who has developed this weakness only for the simple reason that the enemies are his own kith and kin. And rather than kith and kin, they were criminals or the supporters of the criminals. That is a person or a king like in Duryodhana who had reigned in lot of fear amongst the citizens of his country, or he has violated, or he has proved himself to be a villain on very many grounds. That is, he disrobed the Draupadi, and then he tried to put on the fire to the home of Pandavas, and besides he tried to poison Bhima, and very many such counts. He snatched their property. They are all referred to as Atatainas. Atatainas are the people who try to again snatch the properties or poison other people and take away the rights of the other people. So these are the people, these are the Atatainas. So hence, and Bhishma and Drona during disrobing of Draupadi were witness to that scene, and they had not revolted. So because of that, even today they deserve that punishment by the Arjuna, because the war is not between the kith, but it is against the villains or against the people who are spreading this violence. So that was the message of Lord Sri Krishna. So Arjuna says, Katam Bhishmaham Sanke Dronancha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsami Pujara Varisudana. Then further he continues to say, Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaikshamapiha loke. Hatvartha kamanstu guruni haiva bhunjiya bhogan pratirat. He says that by killing my own mentors, my gurus, and the seniors, I will attract only the sins. Hence, it is better to make a living with alms or begging rather than killing them and ruling this kingdom. That was the argument of Arjuna, which even though looks very rosy and very logical, in the eyes of the Lord Sri Krishna, it was not a logical, or it was not a good argument. And further Arjuna continues to say that na chaitad vidmaha kataranno gariyo yadva jayema yadiva no jayeyuhu yadeva hatva na jijivishamaha stevastitaha pramukhe dhartarashtraha. He says that I do not know Lord Krishna, and which path is the better path. That is, whether taking on the fight or leaving the war in the middle, which one will bring in me the real good, or which will make me real victorious, or which will bring in me good, or good to my stature and all of us. So that is what he says. I'm confused. So that is how he is surrendering to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So the message is that whenever we also face with such difficulties, or whenever we feel that we are unable to make a decision, we should surrender everything to the supreme lotus feet of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, or whichever deity that you feel or you have that reverence. It may be Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Rama, or Anjaneya, or whatever the god, Lord Shiva, or whatever the god that you have faith. Surrender to that supreme power, and definitely there will be a real path that how we can be victorious. And further he continues, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha pruchhami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yachesya nishchidam bruhitan me shishyaste ham shadimam tvam tapannam. He says that, oh Lord Sri Krishna, accept me as your disciple, accept me as your humble servant, and then guide me, which is the right path. That is what is the prayer of Arjuna to Lord Sri Krishna. Then further he says, Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyad yacho kabucho shanamindriyanam avapya bhuma va sabatna vruddham rajyam suranam api chadityam. And he says that I do not know how to get rid of this problem, or this weakness of my mind, and which one is a better path for me to lead, and even if somebody offers me the entire kingdom of all these worlds, I don't find that it is worth to fight. That's what is the argument of this Arjuna. Now this happening, or this scene of the battlefield is revealed to Dhritarashtra in the form of a commentary, because sage Vedavyasa had given an telepathic weaving capacity to this Sanjaya, who was an aid, personal assistant of Dhritarashtra, and to him he had given this clairvoyance, that is to see what's happening from a distant place, and now he was revealing this as a commentary. And he was telling that further. Sanjay says to Dhritarashtra, evam bhukta Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Nayotsa iti Govindam Uktva Tushnim Babuvaha. Then he says that he revealed or uttered these words rather, and then he said that now I cannot take, and he became totally dumbstruck. He became silent and he sat in a place. Then Lord Sri Krishna, then he said, Tamuvacha Hrishikesha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayor Ubhayor Madde Vishidantam Idam Vachaha. Then he says that Lord Sri Krishna was smiling at him, and for the arguments that he was putting forth, because Lord Sri Krishna, not only as a lord but a close associate of Arjuna earlier, because he was not knowing, Arjuna was not knowing the supremacy of the Lord Sri Krishna, but Lord Sri Krishna, being the supreme God, had never revealed, and he used to behave as a friend of Arjuna only, or a close relative or a well-wisher of Arjuna. And then he used to say that move with Arjuna very freely, as a almost as a close friend. And that is why, as being a friend as well as being a supreme God, Lord Sri Krishna started smiling, because he knew that it is the same Arjuna who is considered as a valiant hero. He was the one who was lifting the Gandiva bow, which many kings had failed even in lifting. Arjuna had lifted it playfully and had tied the string to the bow, and he had shot, and he used to take on fights with that Gandiva, which was a very worthwhile possession of very many gods. This Gandiva was with Lord Brahma. From there it came to Lord Indra, then from it came to Lord Varuna. From Varuna it was given to Arjuna. So it was a very proud possession of Arjuna, which no one was even capable of lifting and fighting with that Gandiva. So because of that, Arjuna was a valiant person, a hero, real hero, and a real Kshatriya, and a person who was on virtuous path or a rightful path. So the same Arjuna who had fought very many wars and became victorious, even in who enemies were in larger number, now he had become very weak and says that I cannot fight back. So because of that, Lord started smiling, and then he started his real gospel of the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is a holy gospel, or a holy book, not only for a limited number of people, but it is a holy even to the deities, even to the Gandharvas, and coming to even ordinary human beings. It is beyond any geographical region, or beyond any sect. That is, it addresses entire human race. They may be from particular followers of a particular sect, they may be from some other geographical location, they may be of any skin color, they may be speaking any language, but the message is universal, message is applicable to each one of them. So because of that, Bhagavad Gita has such a prime place in the hearts of every devotee throughout, across the world people rever Bhagavad Gita. And today we have the highest number of books that are published on Bhagavad Gita. That is how Bhagavad Gita has a very prime place in our philosophy. And Lord Sri Krishna says now he has started his gospel, or the knowledge of this Bhagavad Gita. He says to Arjuna, Ashocya nanvashochatvam prajna vadansha bhasase gatasosya nanushocanti panditaha. He says, you are behaving as if you are a Pandita or a knowledgeable person or an intellect or an enlightened person. Your arguments look very enlightened, but they are not really enlightening. That is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna to him. That is because one should not worry about the people who are unworthy of worrying. Ashocha nanva shochatnam. So you should not worry about them, and you should not worry about the people who are already dead. You should not also worry about the people who are dying, because every moment or every minute we are growing old, we are dying, and this is a stream, continuous stream. So that is why he says first message is that अशोचा नन्वशोचत्वं प्रज्ञा वादांश भाषसे गतासून अगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः. Further, Lord Sri Krishna continues to say, Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipa nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. He says, neither you or nor me, that is, it's not that we were not existing in the past. We were existing in the past, we are existing in the present, and in future also we will definitely exist. So it is a continuation of the journey of this soul or the Atman. Hence, you need not have to worry about this aspect, and it is you are duty bound. You are duty bound to punish the culprits, because you being a king or you being a Kshatriya king, and it is the duty. In those days, the duties were very specifically assigned to various people, that a king is supposed to execute so and so duties, and a virtuous priest is supposed to execute so and so duties, a farmer is supposed to execute so and so duties. At the same time, a farmer and a laborer is supposed to do, a trader is supposed to do what kind of duties. They were all well defined, and they were complementary to each other. They were not contradictory to each other. They were not competitors of each other. They were all complementary. A priest used to do his own job, a king used to do his own job, a soldier used to perform his own duties. So thus there was perfect harmony that was seen, and that was the order of the day. And Lord Sri Krishna advises about this one only, and further he says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhiras tatra namuyati. He says, as this body, Deha, we know is a body, Dehi, the one who bears this body, that is the Atman. Lord is speaking about the Atman and the body. He says, Dehi, the one who is bearing this Deha. Dehinosmin yatha dehe, how he obtains this body and how he obtains this a childhood. He is an infant, then he becomes a child, and then he becomes an adult, and then he becomes a grown-up one, he becomes an old person. So this is a journey. That is, one is never bothered. Morning, what I was, after 1 hour in the afternoon I will not be of the same caliber, and by evening I will not be of the same caliber. That is, already so much of time has passed, so much age has passed, so much of wrinkling of the skin has taken place, because this keeps on happening. So one should not worry, as we never worry about such aspects. We never bother that morning I was young, by evening I became old. We never worry about such things. And similarly, a person also, his entire journey from eternity to eternity, he should not worry about all these aspects. So that is what Lord Sri Krishna is trying to convey the message through this one. And then he says, Matra sparshastha kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama paino nityam stam stitikshasva bharataha. So in our last session, we had discussed about this aspect. That is, we had discussed about these 14 verses. Now we will start some of the verses from 14th verse onward. And that is what we had stopped in the last one. So 14th verse says that Matra sparshasu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमा पायिनो नित्यां स्थां तिसिक्षस्व भारत. It is what is the now. Welcome, madam. Last exactly we had joined in the right time, because we had left at this point only. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. So the meaning, general meaning of this matra sparshastu kaunteya is that if we see a general meaning of this one, that is miyante iti matra. That is the sense objects are the ones which bring in pain and pleasure, and they come and they go. This is what is the meaning. That is matra sparshastu. That is the contact with these sense objects. Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkadaha. That is like the heat and the cold bring in the sensation. They bring in pain and a pleasure, and they come and they go. This is what we had stopped in the last, and this is the general meaning of this one. But we should go into the deep or inner meaning of this one. Then we will get more and more beautiful meanings for this beautiful verse of this beautiful sloka. That is, last time also I had quoted an example of suppose if somebody has possesses a house and in a Bombay or some other city, and he has sold that one, and when he comes back, the house, let us say it has crumpled due to earthquake, or it has been washed away in a tsunami. So now the house that he had built with crores of rupees and had loved for a lot of time to love to stay in that house, now when he has sold and come out, he will not be that much agonized as if he were staying in that home or that house, because now he has come out of the house, he has lost the attachment towards that house. So that is what is the general message of this one. But now suppose if we read some enlightened books of enlightened saints, then we will come to know that matra sparshas two, we have to separate these two. That is wherein it says, it's almost like a question mark. That question mark says that matra sparshas tu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama paino nityam stam tisit shatsva bharataha. That is, the meaning is almost very clear, wherein it says that let us say it is very hot or a summer around, and if you touch something cold or if you switch on air conditioner, definitely that contact with cold air in the summer gives lot of pleasure. Exactly opposite now, suppose if it is too much of cold and somebody puts on the heater, the contact with the heat to the skin brings in lot of pleasure. That is matra sparshas tu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha. Now same thing with the eyes. Suppose if I see a beautiful temple, it gives pleasure to my eyes, in turn pleasure to me. And suppose if I see an accident site, my contact with that accident site brings in me lot of pain or agony. Same thing now skin and eyes, and then nose also. If get a beautiful aroma, we feel so happy, and if you get an obnoxious smell, we feel obnoxious or irritating. Same thing even on taste, and same thing on the ears. That is, if I listen to a beautiful melodious music, then I feel so much happy because my ears have come in contact with a beautiful music, and then I am deriving pleasure for that one. Suppose if the sound is a horrible sound, I get lot of pain out of that one. That is from our eyes, from our ears, from our nose, from our tongue, from our skin. So whatever their respective subjects are there, respective subject in the sense, for eye, sight is the subject, for ears, sound is the subject, and for skin, touch is the subject, for nose, aroma is the subject, for tongue, taste is the subject. When these sense organs come in contact with that particular sense object, then we get pain and pleasure. This is what we get a general meaning of matra sparshastu kaunteya. Generally, wherever you read a book, we will come across this meaning. Now, going a step deeper into that one, if we separate matra sparshas tu kaunteya, that is, Lord Sri Krishna is telling, oh Arjuna, do you think only this touch, this pleasure of this sense organs and the subject brings in pleasure? This is what is a question mark, definitely saying this will not bring in pain and pleasure. That is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna. Now same thing I would like to put in like this. That is, now in summer, if we start an air conditioner or touch some cold object, we feel so much pleasure. That means whether that cold or air conditioner cold wave is giving the pleasure, if that were giving the pleasure, it should give the pleasure even on a summer day also. on a winter day also. But on the winter day, same air conditioner produces lot of pain, or we don't like that. Same thing with the heat. That is, heat in the summer, heat will bring in pain, and same heat in the winter brings in pleasure. That is, it is not in that particular object or in that particular sense organ, and this one, that is, it is our attachment depending on that one, because same heat once brings in pleasure, same heat once bring in pain. Now let us see one, this is for skin I have told. Now let us see the example of a sight. For a sight, now I see a ghastly sight, somewhere I see a ghastly sight. So what happens? I am agonized with that one. But same ghastly sight, same accident may bring in pleasure to somebody else. Simple example I will tell you. We had seen that Pakistan had put a bomb to our army men. So that sight was a horrible sight for us. Now the same sight, same killing of our army is a pleasure. That scene is also a pleasure to our enemy country. Now scene is same, it is bringing in pain to somebody, it is bringing in pleasure to somebody. So it is not the contact with the object and that particular person, I and that one, sight is same, but same sight is giving pain to me and pleasure to somebody else, vice versa you can say. That is, enemy country, if our soldiers strike on somewhere in Pakistan, same sight brings in pleasure to us, whereas it is a ghastly sight for them. So that is what is Lord Sri Krishna saying. It is not that actual incident between I and that sight and this one can be anything. It is your attachment to that one. Because I am attached to my country's soldiers, it is bringing me in pain, whereas our enemy country, same sight is giving, because they are not attached. They are enemies. So this is what is the message that Lord Sri Krishna is driving here. Now let us see the another example of ears. Now melodious sound gives lot of pleasure to me, let us say, through ear. Earlier we have seen that a beautiful music will give lot of beautiful pleasure to us. Suppose while listening to that music, now you have slept off. When we have slept off, music is still being played. Do we get the pleasure? No. We even do not know that when the tape recorder has stopped singing, because we are detached from that one. That is, it is not that pleasure is in music, it is our attachment to that pleasure that is giving. Or let us say I am sleeping on a very soft bed. As long as I sleep on a soft bed, it starts giving me pleasure, that I realize that pillow is very soft and my bed is very soft, because I am in contact or touch with that pillow and this bed or etc. The moment I fall asleep, I stop realizing that the bed was soft or the pillow was soft, because my attachment that was there is not being sensed in my mind. Still I am attached to soft bed only, soft pillow only, but now I don't get pleasure because I am deep in deep sleep. That means only the attachment, only the contact will not bring in pleasure. That is, or pleasure or pain. That is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna. Now same thing, let us say with reference to smell. So let us say now we get a particular beautiful aroma or flowers, scent of flowers. We feel so much of pleasure in that one. Whereas somebody in fish market, since by birth somebody is selling the fish only, then that he or she who is selling the fish, for them this flower scent can become an obnoxious smell, and they don't get sleep also. Whereas if they have that smell of fish, they get a deep sleep. So now the same thing, same message. Now contact with the nose, and so for one somebody it is giving a beautiful sleep, for other it is not giving. Same thing with the tongue also. Something is a very beautiful tasty food for somebody, whereas for somebody they don't like that smell itself. Somebody doesn't like a carrot, somebody doesn't like a radish, whereas somebody likes very much the carrot or the radish or the onion. Somebody may not like, somebody may like it. Same substance coming in contact with the tongue, it is giving pleasure to somebody, it is giving pain to somebody. So this is what is the message. Earlier we have seen matra sparshasthu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama paino nityam sam stitikshasva bharata. That is, contact with these objects brings in pain and pleasure. That is the message that we get, or meaning we get. But if we read some enlightened books, because most of those do not cover these aspects, so many enlightened books cover, some may not cover also. This is what is the message. That is, Lord Sri Krishna is asking very specifically, or he is putting a question mark Arjuna, because Arjuna said that I will not take on the fight because I am killing them. Now Sri Krishna says, do you think that only contact, only sight of these mentors and gurus will bring in pain and pleasure? Because you are the same Arjuna who had killed earlier lot of enemies and never repented on that one. Now you are repenting, you are telling so much of theories that if I kill these people, the widows will suffer, and entire generation gets spoiled, and there will be no labor, no workers to work, and the entire country becomes totally unruly scene. So this theory was put forth by Arjuna. Now Lord Sri Krishna is striking of this theory that it is not only this act, it is the your attachment towards that act that is either bringing in pain, or that is either bringing in pleasure. That is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna. Here so much thing is there to learn for us, as we get carried away by so many things in day-to-day life. Now if we read this one, then we can realize that it is our attachment towards a particular object that will bring in, not a mere touch of that particular object, because same scenery, same smell, same sight, same touch can bring in pleasure for some time, can bring in pain for some time. So because of that, they keep on coming and going, and a knowledgeable person, an enlightened person should not get stuck on that situation and should come out. That is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna. And wherein he says that matra sparshas tu kaunteya, O Arjuna, Sitoshna Sukha Dukkadaha Agama Paino, that is, they come and they go, and you have to Titikshasva Bharata. Here also another beautiful meaning I would like to tell you. Titikshasva, many people write Titikshasva, meaning is that become tolerant. There is pain, as I said, so many situations I said, accident scene or some warfare scene or something like that. So Lord Sri Krishna says that tolerate this scene. This is what is the general meaning that we get. But we should again read the really enlightened people. Then we will come to know what is the meaning of this Titikshasva. Titikshasva means not mere tolerance. The actual meaning of this is to make it fruitless. That is fruitionless. Do not allow that idea to become fruiting. That is, we should make it futile, or we should make it purposeless. They are vague synonyms I am giving. The actual word, or titikshasva, means to make it not. Not in the sense N-A-U-G-H-T, not. N-A-U-G-H-T, not means in our language we say vifali karotu. Vifala. Vifala means phala means fruit. Vifala means make it fruitless. That is, this will come. You have to witness the scene. You have to listen to that sound, or you will be coming across this touch or pain and pleasure and sight and everything.